Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of Retail Shenanigans. This is episode 15, and we are going strong, folks. I'm here having a great time here with Dylan,
Dylan.
friend of a friend. A couple days ago, I had my buddy Tom on, and he introduced me to his friend Dylan, who saw the show, said it was great and had a fun time listening. So I went ahead and scheduled some time to have him on. So Dylan, how are you doing?
I am doing well. How about you?
I am fantastic. Is it Are you talking on your phone or whatever?
I am, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's totally fine. It's picking up some kind of, I don't know if you're moving it or whatnot, but it's coming through.
Give me a second.
No, you're fine, buddy.
All right, is this better?
Oh, much better. I don't know if you were just like moving it or
Okay.
whatever, but whenever it was moving and rubbing
I
on
was
something,
just
it was
Okay. There we go.
yeah, much better. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, perfect.
Certainly.
So how you doing, Dylan?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
Like I said, I'm good. I had the weekend off. I really was able to sit and enjoy my weekend, spend some time with the family. Not see, and I don't even want to say unfortunately, but gratefully, even with the pandemic going on, I'm essential, so I'm still able to go to work and make a paycheck and bring it home to my kids, and but
Yeah.
it was definitely still very nice to sit down and have the weekend home with the kids and see the family, and that's always an awesome experience.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I was taking a drink there. So, I think we were really able to get this started. So, Dylan, I know you are coming in with an interesting perspective when it comes to the whole retail or like sales experience. Tom was telling me a little bit that you were loss prevention.
Correct. Yeah.
So, were you pretty much your whole career loss prevention, or was that just something you did for a long time that you just decided that worked really well for you?
I kind of I came from a like private security contract security, security guard work.
Okay.
And it just, kind of started to bore me. It also just doesn't pay, a living wage. So I kind of branched out, kind of looked into what I wanted to do. I thought about law enforcement for a while, but that just didn't really uh, end up being what I thought I wanted to do. And, I thought loss prevention seemed interesting and kind of just fell into it that way.
No, that's awesome. I mean, it's really cool when you don't really know what you want to do with your life, and I'm not saying like exactly that's what the situation, but it's really awesome when
Hmm.
something really just falls into your lap and you're able to just pick up and run with
Absolutely.
it. It's a fantastic experience.
For sure, yeah.
So, how long have you been in the loss prevention side of the business?
I was, I would say about 2 years. I actually got out of it probably about 6 months ago and moved into a different, kind of a different work field. But I was in it for about 2 years.
Okay, and was there one specific company you did loss prevention for, or was it like a broad horizon, or?
So I started. My first foray into it was at Best Buy, and they call
Oh
it
wow,
asset protection, but
yeah,
it's essentially the same job.
most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, and it was. So I want to preface this by saying that Best Buy is, a great company to work
Hmm.
for, but it just wasn't great for me. I just wasn't happy with the job duties. It wasn't really hands-on enough. So I moved to Boss Calls after that,
Okay.
which has, it's kind of unusual, especially these days with everybody being so, litigious, lawsuit happy. But
Right.
they still have a hands-on policy, so you are allowed to grab hold of people.
Wow, really?
It's you can chase them off the property. Yeah, it's pretty intense at times actually.
Geez, that's I'm not. I mean, that's crazy in this day and age. When I
It
worked,
it is.
I know when I worked at Turkey Hill when I was still,
Mm.
17, 18, when I still lived up in Pennsylvania. I mean, we couldn't do jack shit. I mean, we weren't even supposed to try to talk to people when they were stealing, like try to stop them. They didn't even want us to
Yeah.
do that. And I know I did it because our inventory and our merchandise was on the line. And anytime we had a bad inventory,
Mhm.
then they would they'd spend like a week coming in like trying to investigate and try to fire people to say that we were stealing. And I'm like, what the hell, like. But that's
Yeah, and it's so often that companies a lot of times give the impression that they're more worried about internal theft than people coming in and lifting stuff. And in my experience, we saw a lot more of external theft than internal. But
which is crazy too, because a
Mhm,
lot of companies I've worked for, they always say the statistic is that 60% of all theft is internal, which sadly I
mhm,
do see some of that. Being in the management field, I've managed a lot of stores and a lot of different companies, and there are those that think they're smart enough to get away with it, or they get away with it for so long until they make a mistake, and then it's
mhm.
like boom, then
And
they get caught.
absolutely, yeah, and I would say, I mean, to be fair, my viewpoint's a little skewed because a lot of the internal theft was usually caught by a management
Right.
level, person rather than us, doing the so-called grunt work actually out on the floor. So, I mean, I could just have not, seen my fair share of the internal side, but
No, most definitely. So, when you were working at Best Buy, you were with asset protection. So, did they have? So, if you could tell me a little bit about like that. So, like, let's like walk me through like a typical day for you. Like, did they have an office where you like watched film, or did they have you in street clothes, like in the store, or what would you typically do?
um, so you're in uniform, and I don't know how much. I don't want to get in trouble or anything, but I mean, I'm not employed there anymore.
Right. Well,
But
if you don't want to give
I
too
mean,
much away, that's totally fine.
no, I mean, it's no secret that when you first walk into the store, that person in the yellow shirt is looking at cameras, and that
Mm.
is asset protection. So they took a different approach than Boscos. Best Buy very much so wants you to know that you're being watched,
Right.
and to be fair, their theft, as far as I could tell, was astoundingly low. I mean, that being said, there's also in the particular store I was in, there were not that many external,
Right.
ways to get in and out. So I mean that was it, and their camera coverage is mind-boggling. I mean, there was something like 60 some cameras in the one store I was in, and it's honestly was not even that large of a location. So I mean, you're going to get caught if you try to steal there.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, but I mean, most of it was honestly watching cameras and like checking bags,
Yeah.
customers leaving, and I didn't really like that. They didn't really allow us. I mean, again, not to go spill too much, but they didn't really allow us to run the store.
Right.
But there were so many associates running the store already. I think
Mm-hmm.
you're already being watched. So um,
It definitely doesn't
yeah,
seem like a place where it would be easy to do something. Because I know anytime, I mean, don't get
no,
me wrong, I love Best Buy. I mean, sometimes their prices are a little crazy, but I prefer to buy from a store like that, where I know if I go in and have a question, someone's definitely
mhm,
going to be able to answer me. Whereas opposed to like going like to a Walmart or a Target, and they're looking at me
for sure.
look, I get paid minimum wage to stand here and check out, so don't ask me anything.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of their, like I said before, like I personally was not really happy with my job duties, but I know that a lot of people there absolutely love their job. They've been there for years. They'll continue to be there for years, because they enjoy their job. So I
Right.
mean, it's not a bad company. It just wasn't right for me. So
No, that's again totally understandable. It's just it's weird that
mhm,
some companies take that extreme. No, I wouldn't even call it
mhm,
extreme, but like take it to that level where you said they have cameras everywhere and they have the door checker and things of that nature.
right.
Where I worked for a company where it was an electronics slash media company in the mall and down here
Hmm.
in Texas, and for one, because it was in the mall, they didn't have cameras in
Hmm.
their store. And it was fucking ridiculous. Like you wouldn't believe,
Hmm.
like on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, even with two or three employees in the store, have your people up front at the registers and then, one or two employees on the floor recovering, picking up stuff, you still
Hmm.
were finding, DVD cases or Blu-ray cases cut because people were just taking the
Yeah.
disc, or they would slit the. What mind boggled me, which I didn't think about it until I saw it, they would cut a slit in the
Hmm.
side of it just so they could take the digital copy out, or they were completely
Oh yeah.
like they had a magnet to take off the spider wire or like the security
Hmm.
on things to get things out. And I'm like,
Hmm.
it's crazy because no matter what you do to try to stop people, if they're determined to, if someone's gonna wants to
They will
steal
find a
something, they will
way.
find exactly 100%.
Yeah, and And I myself even didn't realize how much and how often people steal. Like
Yeah.
I mean, I tell my friends, they would ask, more so at Boscov's, because again, at Best Buy, we really didn't have many thefts. But at
Hmm.
Boscov's, it was, I mean, especially during like the holidays, it was multiple times a week occurrence. And it blows people's minds when I tell them that. And it blew my mind at first. I was like, there's no way that I'm going to be chasing people every week. But sometimes you were.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not always myself personally, but one of
Somebody.
us was.
Right. Okay, so then moving on from Best Buy, you said over at Boscov's that they have like a more hands-on approach where you can like chase people off the property and get more
Yeah,
like you know closer to the customer. So
right.
was there any like guidelines they made you guys go over, or was it pretty much like don't let people walk out with merchandise? You know what I mean? Like, was there like a line that it was like, this is what you can do, this is what you can't? Or was it more of like,
Um,
you know what I mean?
kind of, but I'm not really at liberty to say that.
No, I gotcha. I don't want you to get in trouble
Even
or
though I'm
anything.
saying, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, again, I don't, work there anymore. I have no, but I prefer. I don't know. I don't want to make things easier for people per se. If you know what I'm
No, I
saying.
no, I totally get
Um,
you. I don't want someone to use this, like take advantage of this and be like, "Oh, well, this is what they can and can't do. I'm going to go fucking
right.
fill my pockets at Boscov's and walk out."
Hmm.
But I mean, it's no matter
Yeah.
where you work or whatever company is. People are smart. Like I know when I worked at the
For
outdoor
sure.
store up in Pennsylvania, we had those ink tags where it was like the pin that you push through and it goes into the ink
Hmm.
cartridge or like
Hmm.
even this just a regular sensor. And people would
Hmm.
come in with fucking wire cutters and like small little wire cutters in their pockets, and they'd go and they'd cut the
Hmm.
the fucking pin out of it, and then take a handful of the pins that they've cut, and then put them in a separate pair of pants, and either put them in their bag or put them on and just walk right out. Like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like the balls that some people have. I legitimately.
And you would think with that much effort put in, you better off just pay for it.
Right,
That's kind of my thinking. Like, just pay for it at that point.
right. If you're
It's
gonna go
it's not worth the risk.
100%, if you're going to go through the
Like,
trouble of, oh, I'm going to sneak in a magnet or I'm going to take in some little snips to go in
hmm
and, steal this, like I understand, like I don't know. I know right now things are tough with the pandemic, but I mean, even before that, people just would steal just to steal. Hell,
hmm
we had in the gun department, we had people that they were ammo collectors. They would come in and steal one fucking round out of a box. And then
that's
so that they
ridiculous.
had one round. And then sometimes
Right.
they would either do that or it was a different case. It was either they would come in, they would steal the one round, and then come
Mhm.
back in and be like, "Hey, this box doesn't have all the rounds in it. I want a discount on it."
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
believe that.
ballsy motherfuckers. And then on top of
Hmm.
that too, we had this one group of people. We caught one of them, but the other two we never really caught. They would take so a box of shotgun shells of like the bird shot that you can get, and
Hmm.
you can get them for like $4 or $5. But
Hmm.
you would the a similar sized box of AR ammo could fit inside that box. So they'd pick up this box of birdshot and they dump it out into a range bag, walk around the
Hmm.
store and put the whole box of AR ammo inside the box of shotgun shells and close it back up, and then walk out with that $80 to $100 box of ammo for $5.
Right.
Fucking
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
shit. Like, and the fact that you have to,
Absolutely.
like, and then, like, it got to a point where we would have to open up a box and look inside to make sure it was actually the ammo in it, because people are just, like, it's so mind boggling. Like, I don't understand why people have to feel the
Hmm.
need to steal. And for some people, they don't even need it. Some people, they steal just to steal. And that's even, for me, is fucking bonkers, man.
I mean, I agree. I always, kind of thought to myself, it's one thing these people that go into grocery stores and they steal to feed their family. I don't know if I'd have the heart to be able to work loss prevention there.
Right.
But, at Boscov's, nobody needs, you don't need that Nike hoodie. You don't need, those, the $100 pair of shoes. You don't
Yeah.
need that. Like, So what do you? Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, obviously, I guess this probably goes without saying, but people weren't. If they were stealing in bulk, it was not for personal use. You know, they're going to go sell it out of the trunk of their
Yeah.
car in a parking lot. But um, the kids would usually steal for personal use. You know, the
Oh yeah.
kids that even, like you said, some people they steal to steal. Like I was able to get away with this or whatever.
Hmm.
But you know, honestly, it was mostly adults that we caught. Sadly.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, and it might
Yeah.
see, and the crazy thing is I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum. When I would work, when I worked in the city, a lot of the people. Now, granted,
Mm-hmm.
we still had adults that came in and boldface just stole, but we had a lot of
Mm-hmm.
kids that thought it was cool to come into a Turkey Hill and fill their pockets or go grab a soda
Mm-hmm.
or something and
Yeah.
run out and ha ha ha, I stole from you. Um,
Right.
it's just ridiculous, and it got to the point where yeah, their kids will be kids, but at the same time, like I gotta make sure my job. Like I understand, like it's a minimum wage job,
Absolutely.
but at the time it was how I was paying my bills. Like I can't
Exactly.
like, and then what is
It's an honest living. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
and
that's all that matters.
and I'm just supposed to let these kids get away with it? Like no, that's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
So kind of an odd question, seeing as though you weren't on
Mm-hmm.
the like the customer side of it. But
Mm-hmm.
if you had to think back for like your best memory from working in loss prevention, what would it be? Like, so I guess something for you, like if you maybe, like if you guys prevented like a major theft or something or things of that nature, is there something like top of your, like your top tier, like feel good memory of working in loss prevention?
Um. Well, I mean, this is kind of. It wasn't really so much loss prevention side, but you know, people would sometimes if they lost their kid and there'd be a whole, uh, code, whatever we call it. I think it was a code atom, and
Okay.
you know, the finding the kid and just seeing the relief on the parent's face, so you know the kid's not gone. That was always fairly rewarding. Um, and I mean, preventing losses also was into it, but that kind of became just kind of like oh, it was just part of my job, so the kind of like feeling of satisfaction kind of wore off and became kind of routine after a while when we would catch people because again in boss calls it just felt like it happened so often we were catching people stealing it was ridiculous, it was mind-boggling.
I got
um
yeah. So definitely. So what you're saying is one of you, like the best things you can think of were moments where you helped like parents find their kids and things of that nature.
yeah, sorry, I kind of got off track with my
No,
answer there,
no,
but
no,
yeah,
no, no,
I
no,
would
no, not at all. That's perfectly fine.
and I mean honestly just because we could walk the floor I feel like I got to kind of know every single employee, even in a way that sometimes the employees didn't get to know each other because our store was two levels. A lot of times, people didn't even interact with people if they didn't work on the same floor or sometimes even the same department. And I kind of got to know everybody there, and it kind of felt like a family. I think that that actually was honestly my most favorite part. Uh, was just that freedom to be in whatever department I wanted to be in, and just all the different people I got to meet.
No, definitely. There's been a lot of people that I've had on here that have said,
Hmm.
one of their favorite memories is, just the friendships and the kind of family atmosphere you eventually get to when you work with these people for so long, because it
Yeah,
it
yeah, for
100%
sure.
is. And I've said it before where it's you work with these people and you see these people more than your freaking family sometimes, so they definitely
Absolutely.
feel like your work family at the very least.
Yeah, and I mean, I worked with some really good people, and I mean, especially within my own department, there's still a handful of them that I still keep in touch with. I mean, I keep in touch with my old supervisor. He's
Hmm.
he's a cool guy. I mean, we're still friends, and just a couple of my ex coworkers. So I mean, there's definitely a family feel there because, as you said, you see these people, 40 hours a week
Yeah.
sometimes. So.
Right. And I really like one of the things you said about being able to walk around the store. That was
Hmm.
one thing I really enjoyed about Gander. I worked there for a while, even under when it was the old
Hmm.
company and then when it reopened. On days where, it was busy, or even maybe not so much busy, but there was nothing in really your department that needed done, but you were kind of running the store for the night. Like, let's say if I was the closing manager, it was always really awesome to be able to walk the different departments and just, touch base with the other people that were working, see if they needed help, pardon me.
Right.
Especially on like truck days where we would get big trucks, and we would go and we'd have our rolling racks that we'd fill up for each of our departments, and our bulk stuff, and we'd want to get our stuff done. And then it was really cool when you would have people that were really good at working truck, or maybe their department wasn't in season, so they didn't get a lot, so they'd get their stuff put away,
right.
And then they could like go over to another department and help them. And like, especially in the firearms department, it was always awesome to, whenever it wasn't busy or you had a free moment, to really just kind of walk around and go back there and shoot the shit with the firearms guys, gets their opinion on this gun or that gun, or whenever you get people together, you want to go to the shooting range or something. It was just really nice to have that camaraderie. So I 100% agree with you there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there were even there were days when I'd go, and I mean, I won't name names because some of these people still work there, but I'd go down to the dock and shoot the shit with people, or I'd sometimes even help certain departments, if they needed a cart taken to wherever, or just little odd jobs. So I mean, and it just felt nice feeling useful, I guess.
No, 100%. And it's crazy that there are some places like there are some companies like cashiers. For the company I work for, nobody is called a cashier. You are a sales associate. So
right.
I hate the word cashier, because some people then they hear cashier and they think all they need to do for 8 hours a day is stand behind that register and do nothing. No.
Right. I mean, that's not accurate.
Well, and first off,
at all.
Right. And and honestly, like, unless you just really don't want to do shit that day, who wants to stand behind a fucking register and not do anything all day?
Absolutely.
Like if
and to go ahead.
No, go ahead, say what you were saying.
I was going to say the converse of your question, what my favorite memory is. I would say my least favorite was probably sometimes and most of the customers were good, but like just the customers that I would sometimes, because we'd walk around plain clothes and they just talk because they thought we were another person.
Right.
And you just overhear them complaining about how nobody's ever helping me and blah 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 blah. Like nobody in this store,
right.
Acting as if it was just the entitlement that you got from some of these people, and they thought that these associates, all they did was stand around for 8 days, and that's just not fair. And that was always kind of upsetting to me. But I mean, you can't open your mouth to them, obviously. But
right, because then you give away that you're with the company and you're loss prevention.
Yeah, and it's a little unprofessional too. So.
Yeah, 100%. And that's awesome, because that was actually the next question on my list, is about worst memories. And yeah, a lot of times, and it's actually quite surprising that a lot of the people I've had on here, I'd say a good half to maybe 3/4 said the issues they've had were not with the company, for the most part. For the most part, it was, issues with, obviously there's customers, or there's, one-off situations, but it was definitely interesting, knowing that it wasn't the actual company itself. It might have been bosses, or, again, like I said, customers, but like just the general vibe of the company itself. And that was really interesting to hear, because I was half expecting some of the people I interviewed, I half expected them to be like, well, fuck this company, fuck them, and fuck everything they stand for. And I'm like, wow, this is a lot different than I thought it was going to be.
No, I mean, Bosco's treated me well enough. It was honestly, at the end of the day, it was an issue of money, and I got a job that was just a better opportunity for me, and had to move on. But I mean, if I did enjoy my time there for sure.
Oh yeah, there's nothing. Moving on for better pay should be something that should be, frowned upon. I mean, as much as I loved my job in Gander, and till the day I die, until something else comes along. Not saying that I don't enjoy my current job, but Gander was my favorite job of all time. I loved it. I mean, I even went back after they reopened, after bankruptcy, and I loved it. I loved my boss. I loved the people I worked with. And to this day, like I said, it was I will still, say that is my favorite job. But, I just had opportunities in Texas that I wasn't having available in Pennsylvania. So it was just the best step for my
Oh, for
family
sure.
to just, as much as it hurt to leave, my favorite job ever, it just made more sense for me to move down here to Texas where I knew my family would be better off, and absolutely has been.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and same here. I mean, I definitely made the right choice. But I mean, if I had the enough hours in the day and the opportunity to do so, I'd go back and work both places. So
Right. Well,
I really did enjoy it that much.
well, no, see, and that's perfect. That's because that's actually my next question is,
Hmm.
sorry, my brother is blowing my phone up, and I'm trying to tell him I'm in the middle of a show.
You're good.
So it's actually one of the next questions I have for you, and you kind of answered it
Sure.
already, but a little bit more feedback would be, if you want to go in a little
Mhm.
bit more in depth, that's fine. So with you saying that you are no longer working for either Best Buy or Boscov's, even if you want to just stick with Boscov's, which I know you said that you did
Mhm.
like a lot, so would you ever go back? Like, even if it was something like, oh, whatever, there might have been a situation where your current job closes or there's just like a dispute with your current job. Would it have to be like a last resort to go back, or would you go back in like a heartbeat? If it was something where it was like, not like,
Um.
you know what I mean? Like what I'm trying to
Well, I
say, like,
mean, yeah, for sure. To put it bluntly, it would probably go back to a matter of money. They would have to offer a decent amount more than what they were paying me to 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 make me reconsider going back. But I mean, yeah, I mean, like you said, like who knows? Like, I mean, if I can't stay at hypothetically the job I was at, yeah, I would say I would go back in a heartbeat. Yeah,
but you would definitely say that you would try to negotiate more money.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I
no,
mean, that's a lot of jobs out there. That I mean, the cost of living these days is ridiculous. So,
no,
I mean, to be fair, that's not a Bosco specific issue
no,
at
not
all.
at all.
So,
No, fuck right. No, if you were to tell me that,
yeah,
if you would have said no, you just went back willy nilly, I would have been like, well, then something's fucking wrong with you, man. I would have tried to get something out of that situation.
right, right. But yeah, I mean, okay, I guess if we excuse money from the equation,
Right.
excise money from the equation,
Maybe that's what I should have led with. I'm
I'd
sorry.
go back. Yeah, sure. I'd go back. It was nice. I guess. I don't think it's a job for everybody. I think a
Right.
lot of people would think you're crazy for thinking that it's nice to have to watch a camera and chase after people. But at the end of the day, I kind of just enjoyed the thrill. So,
No, that's dude, no shame on anybody. I mean, if you're
mhm,
passionate about something and you like to do it, there's nothing like, people need to mind their own business. I mean, like I said, I forget who
fair
I
enough.
was. I forget who it was I was talking to the other day. It actually could have been Tom, for all
Mhm,
intensive purposes, but I don't remember. I've been doing one or two of these every day. But they were
mhm,
talking about something similar, and I told him, I said, look, you can't be like, be who you are. Like, I'm almost 30 years
mhm,
old. I've got two kids. I'm married, and I might not
mhm.
have a mortgage or anything. But I pay all my own bills and all this other jazz. But I still like to play Dungeons and Dragons. I still like to sit down and I play Magic the Gathering. Like, yeah, those sound like kid things, but I'm an adult and it's a passion of mine. So why the fuck not?
Exactly. If it makes you happy, then it's worthwhile, is what I always say.
Oh yeah.
So,
It's crazy. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, another passion of mine is movies. Like, my wife makes fun of me
mhm,
sometimes because I get really like, there's like certain movies where I'm like, oh, I have to own it, and I've got to own like the Blu-ray or the 4K, and I want to go
mhm,
do this, and this. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's something. Again, it's something I'm passionate about, and it's something that I would never, that you,
right.
if somebody's clearly passionate about something, you don't want to knock them for it. I mean, like, you might fuck with
No.
them. Like, how, I don't know if you heard, but I fuck with Tom all the time about being the douchebag with a guitar. But at the same time, I support him 100%. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and well, he's also a very talented player.
Oh, hell
I don't know
yeah.
if you've heard, but
Yes,
yeah, I
and
mean,
I wouldn't fuck with him if I didn't know he didn't have talent. Trust me.
right, for sure, for sure.
Shout out to Tom for being a good sport out there, buddy, if you're listening.
Hey, Tom. But yeah.
All right, so that kind of leads me then into my last question for the podcast, which is really, I know
Sure.
your current job probably doesn't have you out and about right now, probably, does it?
Mhm.
Like with the
No, so
virus going
it's
on?
well, it's an we are considered essential, and
Okay.
we're so I don't want to give out too much info
No, you're
because we're
fine.
not
You're
really
fine.
supposed to. But
No, that's totally fine.
it's an office job.
Right.
And some of us are remoting and some of us aren't. And that's really all I can say about
No,
it.
and that's
For
perfectly forward. Don't don't say anything more. But that's
okay.
perfect. But my question is, so since you have though in the past been in storefronts and you have been in the retail environment and you know what it's like, even though you might not have been like a cashier or a sales associate, you still know what it's like to be there on like the busy days or to be there when a customer's screaming somebody out, over something stupid.
Absolutely.
So my last question for you, it's kind of like a question or and like a call to action actually. So if there's
Okay.
anything that you could say to the people that are out there currently who are still working, who are out there
Mhm.
making sure that they're stocking shelves, that people have toilet paper to buy, that people have fruit and vegetables to buy,
Mhm.
that people are able to get the items that they need to feed and take care of their families.
Mhm.
These people who were again that they were stockers, but now they're out in like this viral warfare environment where someone coughing near them could get them sick and
Mhm.
then and have them die. So if there's anything you could say to these people to really help them make it through, because there are
Mhm.
days, and it's just a given with any job. There are days where you want to like some days where you just want to quit or you just want to walk out, and this
Yeah.
this right now is not helping whatsoever. So if there's anything you
No.
could really say to these people, to like anybody working still in the storefronts and dealing with the
Mhm.
public right now, what would you say to help them make it through, or to like give them a little inspiration?
I'd say that I think you're a badass for pushing through, and despite what your company may or may not be doing for you to show that, even if they don't seem to appreciate you, I do, and I mean, you're keeping the country running, even though it's might seem insignificant, to stock a shelf or whatever in the grand scheme. Like you're keeping food on some people's plates. You're keeping the gas in some people's cars so that they can go to work and do an essential function, or they can get their kid to wherever. Or so. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, hang in there, and you're doing an awesome job.
No, that's great. And what else can you say? These people
Hmm.
are out there putting their lives on the line, and it's really good to
Hmm.
hear. And that's one thing I always try to close the podcast with is like just a little positive, inspirational people to know that it will get better. It's not
No,
always.
I
Go ahead.
like that. That
Yeah.
I can get behind that for sure.
Well, I appreciate that, man, and definitely thank you for coming on. I had a great time,
Thank you
and
for having me.
I feel like just from the half an hour, 40 minutes we've done this, that I've definitely gotten to know you a little bit, and I've had a blast having you on. And once again, I really truly thank you for coming on the podcast, Dylan.
Well, thanks for having me. I had a good time. I always love talking about myself. So, yeah.
No,
So, I mean,
that's great, dude. Don't be ashamed of it. I mean, I like to talk, and I think that's one of the main reasons I like doing this so much. I've been told I talk a lot, so I like to talk, and I like to talk to people. So this is perfect for me. Um,
for sure.
so for everybody out there listening, again, this has been Retail Shenanigans episode. Actually, I think this might be 15, I believe. Give me 1 second to check here. I don't want to keep calling it 14, and it's not. Aha! I was wrong. This is episode 15. Episode 15, guys, and we're almost at the goal of 50 subscribers. Remember, I have a challenge out there. We get to 50 subscribers. Whoever the 50th is going to get a $10 Amazon gift card from me. So please keep listening, spreading the word, and we're going to keep this channel going and growing strong. This has been Retail Shenanigans. Everybody, have a great night out there.